Y'all, I'm up here trying to do this video in like 10 minutes. Like, hopefully one of these videos is short. Like, if I had to separate my pretty and pink, I would separate my pretty and pink. Hello again, you guys. What's up? This is me coming back to y'all with my dream that I had on March 10th, 2026. And I had this dream, and God was like, when I was watching Pretty in Pink because of Christy, I was watching Pretty in Pink, and she was like, if you and your spouse is from like different, like, if you and your spouse are from like different lifestyle, different socials, different, financial status, and all of these things, you should watch this movie and stuff like that. Because not only did people interfere on the man's side, but people interfered on the woman's side also. But her family, her family was, I think both of their families was okay with it, but it was mostly friends. And this is how I've been telling y'all, like, be careful who y'all connect yourself with. But when I feel like every relationship will have some type of, you know, thing to where it's just like it will have exposure of who it'll have exposure of who somebody is and stuff like that. So it will have exposure of it'll have exposure of who somebody is and stuff like that. Um I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something else. But yeah, it'll give exposure of who somebody is and stuff like that. So um be sure, like, a relationship will expose people. Like, especially, I don't understand, and I would never understand, and I would never get, if someone is happy, if someone is, you see them growing. Like, most people do not, like, especially if you moving someone towards God, or you moving someone towards living a lifestyle that's better than what they already live. If you moving them towards that lifestyle, then they are going to, people in their lives, either side, is going to be like, oh no, like, I don't want you to do that, or I wouldn't want you to, go to this place, or, not do this or not do that. And it's sad because it's just like, you know why, if I'm not pursuing, it's so funny because there was someone, like, there's been many people who, coming to where I work, and they put in applications and stuff like that, and they have a record. And it was so funny because I'm like, how in the heck? And it was, they was like, well, I didn't, I was just in the wrong place and in the wrong time, or try to say they was in the wrong place and in the wrong time. But anyways, back to what I'm saying. Back to what I was saying. Um, yeah, so being connected to people is important. Like, who you connected to is important. And I feel like a relationship or something that God has already been trying to pull you out of and stuff like that, it's going to expose the people who just want you to stay in that lifestyle, just want you to stay in sin, just want you to stay in the old. And honestly, with me, God finally coming and doing a work with, like, not spiritually having me bound and stuff like that. And I'm still going through spiritual attacks and stuff like that, but him, bringing me through and having me come out of different things that I'm still not ready to talk about. But him coming out, him bringing me out of different things and stuff like that, you know they want me to stay in that place because in that place they used it to talk about me. In that place they used it to spread rumors. In that place they used it to, just say different things. In that place they used it to not show that they genuinely had care or love for me. So yeah, let me get into this dream. So March 10th, 2026. In this dream, I seen my husband again. And my husband was invited to a family reunion, or a thing that I was having for my family. We weren't together yet, but I knew of him. I was going to school. Around me, I seen old friends, but I wasn't close. I seen old friends and stuff like that, but I wasn't close with them and stuff like that. And sometimes when you seeing like people from your past and stuff like that, that's not good because it's trying to pull you back into that old, that old way of thinking, that old way of living and stuff like that. And I never want to go back. I'm moving forward. So, but I don't really think that was, this dream. And they say about having dreams about schools and stuff like that, but no, I was in the school and I was going to school and stuff like that. And basically it was kind of like God training me, because someone was like, if you're having dreams about you being in a school, is God, training you and having both of y'all in the classroom and teaching y'all. So this was like random that I had a dream about like going to school and being in school and stuff like that. So I seen old friends, but I wasn't close with and stuff like that. And I was taking a class again. But it was a different subject and taught by the same teacher. So this could be like, it was a cycle that I needed to break, which, God had already shown me the 12-12 dream of like me, coming a long way from where I used to be and learning to break the cycles of, what I had already been through. And I thank God that, that I made it to where I am now, and have the knowledge and wisdom to know like, okay, the cycles, the sins of 2024 can be the sins of 2025, and the cycles of 2025 can be the cycles of 2026. And I learned to break a lot of stuff off of me, and I learned to break, I said this year was going to be different for me. And I said this year I was going to lean on God heavily. So I knew that, I had to break a cycle, and it was certain cycles that I was like, yeah, this is not going to keep following me and keep, coming to pass like every 2 years, every other year or something like that. Like I always end up falling back into this cycle. So I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna happen in 2026. So yeah, and I cannot say, I'm holier than thou, and I cannot say that I won't fall again. But I can say that, this is a year to where I know that I am not going back into, I know that, I cannot repeat that cycle. I know that, I'm letting God guide me and walk with me and, order my steps, because the devil is tricky, and the devil will, like, the words that come out of your mouth and be like, I ain't going back into this cycle. He will get you to step back into that cycle, or he'll try to be smart and make it to where it's just like something different. So something different, or something to where it's just like, oh well, he'll try to make it to where it's something different, or it comes looking a different way, but it's the same thing. And it's still going to put you back in the same cycle. It's still going to put you back in the same cycle. Anyways, And I was like, I didn't want to be taught by her because she had us writing every day. So every day, this teacher would have us writing something. So every day, I was writing some type of essay, some type of research, which I absolutely did not hate writing. I didn't hate research papers. I didn't hate, looking stuff up or anything like that. That's something I would do quick, fast, in a hurry. So I never hated like looking something up or writing or anything like that when I was going to school. It was just a lot because I was from a generation to where we didn't really have computer access and I had to use an encyclopedia. And most kids today don't use encyclopedia. Yeah, they use Chat GPT. They use Chat GPT or Google and all of these places. I did get to research a little bit for like my research papers, like online sources, but at the same time, it's like the encyclopedia. So yeah, I had to use the encyclopedia for some of my stuff, like some of my papers and stuff like that. Um So I was telling my cousin, I was telling my cousin who I was being taught by, and they was like, yeah, she's the one, like she's the one that's gonna have you writing every day, all day, And I was like, I really only had one class, English. That was the class that I was taking, English, but and then it flipped to my family having to get together. So it flipped to like family reunion and stuff like that. The little kickback. So it flipped to, and we stopped, and my family stopped having family reunions after like, and it was the only family reunion I went to, and they stopped having it because like a family member got to fight with like um my cousin's boyfriend or baby daddy at the time. So yeah. Yeah, like the messy. So anyways, so we stopped having family reunions. We ain't had a family reunion since then. We did have like a get together for like my grandma's birthday. My grandma's like 80 something. My grandma's like 93, 94 now. So we had a gathering for like her 80 something birthday. And then we had a gather for Mother's Day in like, I want to say 2022. Yeah. We had a gathering for her for Mother's Day for the mothers and stuff like that. Um and then I was like the family, and I was like we then it flipped to we having a get together, and we stopped having family reunions because everyone brings everyone, including friends. The family included friends. This get together was a lot of people. Like a lot of people came in and out of there, so we are seeing different people and stuff like that. And it's gonna get to a part to where y'all just gonna be like, huh? And I was like, huh, too. I was like, what? Like somebody who was at the family. I'm gonna get to it. So I wanted to say this was at an unknown building. Like it wasn't my grandma's house, but my grandma was there like doing some cooking and stuff like that. But it was at an unknown building and stuff like that. And people was coming in with food and stuff like that. But it was kind of like people coming in and out, having some drinks and stuff. Just in and out and all of that. So I want to say it was at an unknown building, but somehow I had left the building where I was, and me and my husband found each other at the party. But the scene did kind of switch to the school. So he was talking to me and asking questions, and we were having our first conversation. And he leaned in and I kissed him, and we was together, and we was together, and I was snitching about someone Yeah, I think someone in the school or someone in the school or someone no, someone at the family reunion. Yeah, someone at the family reunion, the kickback was like, um said that I was with them, or I was their ex and stuff like that, and I was looking like, I don't even know this person, I don't even know this man. So like we found each other at the party, like at the party we found each other, but then it switched back to the school. So I was like, we was together, and I was snitching about like I was snitching to my husband about someone saying that I was their ex, but I never seen the person before. They were someone friends that was at the family reunion. And then my husband kind of confessed, and I was like, he kind of confessed, and he was like, um, he kind of confessed. He was like, the reason he didn't come or show up like when I expected him was because he thought I was pregnant. And I was like, huh? Like, nunny? Like, huh? And I was like, pregnant? Like, even me looking into the dream, I was like, pregnant. But it makes sense because I was saying to like give birth and to I was telling people to give birth and to come like to plant the seed and give birth to those promises, or give birth to baby steps to those promises and things that God has told them to do, because those are the things that God is going to water and God is going to grow. As Marcus say, you build it this year, it's going to grow. God is going to that I think that's something like how he be talking. But yeah, and I was like, huh, but it switched to school somehow, but the party wasn't over. Like it switched from like us being at the party, and he confessed to me, and I was over there snitching and telling him like, hey, this dude over here saying that I was his ex and stuff like that, and I was mad, and it switched back to the school. Um and we was in a hallway, and I said something that that was kind of personal, kind of intimate and stuff like that. And this is just how I see me and my husband being, but at the same time it's something that I shouldn't. And I even in the dream I was like, let me stop talking to you like that, because you know self-control, like I don't want you to like be turned on by me and stuff like that, and you're not, you're like, we're just meeting, we just coming together, we're and this was just God saying like, keep that self-control, keep it PG, like like you gotta be able, because like you can't be teasing each other or playing around like that. um and I'm not gonna tell y'all that part, but I did kiss him again and told him to wait on me. But when I went outside, he had left. Disrespectful. Disrespectful. So he had left. So I got a ride with my cousin, which my cousin was pregnant, which she already had kids, but I saw her as, I saw her as like, oh, like you pregnant, and like, I didn't know who she was pregnant by and stuff like that. And it was like her brother, I want to say her older brother or something like that. I just knew they was my cousins. Um, and they was together and stuff like that. So I was like, so I had to get a ride from them. And I talked about how my cousin was pregnant, and her brother looked her age. Like her brother was still in like school and stuff like that. But he looked her age and stuff like that, and he looked like a little nerd. And then I was like, they was headed to Texas, but they was going to drop me off on the way, and I dozed off in the car, but I kind of opened my eyes to make sure, like, hey, like I don't see no signs that's headed towards Texas and stuff like that. Even though I didn't care, because I really only had like one more class to pass. So this dream was basically telling me like, you have a few more tests to pass, you know, you only have a few more tests to pass. Like I'm cleaning, like God is cleaning up a few more things in me, and training me and teaching me a few more things and stuff like that. And then I was trying to figure out, and then yeah, I said, I had to wake up and make sure I was back at the kickback family reunion area, even if I didn't care about heading to Texas. And then I was trying to figure out what I was going to write about for part two of the class, because I had another part of the class that I had to finish and stuff like that. So I had to get ready to leave and stuff like that, and do my I had to figure out the Lord, I'm sorry. I had to figure out like what I was going to write about for the class, because I have to write every day for that class. Like I have to write something. But yeah, so that is my dream about me and my husband. They about to come in 3 minutes. Me and my husband being in two different places, because he, like, the stuff that he seen, like, I guess, like, in my natural, me being like, give birth to these things, or baby step to these things that you want to see out of life, that God has put on your heart to do, because God can increase that. God can water that. God can, do what he needs to do with that, situation. So me telling, people like give birth to these different things. And I had gave birth to a few things in the background, and I have been doing a lot of things in the background to where, planting seeds and stuff like that. So so I can understand my husband being like, and probably somebody lied on me. Because remember in the dream I was like, this man sit up here and said like I was his ex, and I don't know this man at all. Like I don't know this man or never seen this man. He just came with like a family member or a friend of a friend. Like a friend of the family member friend. Like he was a friend of the family member's friend. And he came and he was like, I know her. And I was looking like, no, you like in the dream I was like, no, you don't. Like, I don't know you, sir. Like, and then I was telling my husband, I was snitching on him, telling my husband, like, hey, like this man up here saying he know me and stuff like that, and I was his ex, and it's just like, no, I'm not. Like, no, I'm not. I don't know him. And my husband confessed, like, he wasn't even mad. He was just like, I thought, like, he was like, I thought that you was, he was like, I thought that you was, pregnant. Like, I thought you was pregnant, and that's why I didn't come sooner. That's why, like, he was, basically, he was saying, like, I didn't come sooner, or I didn't come when I was expected, because I didn't come when I was expected because I thought you was pregnant. I thought like someone else had you. I thought that, you wasn't accessible to me and stuff like that. So that's, that I was like, wow. I was like, huh? But, I didn't even like, he didn't get mad when the person was sitting there trying to put stuff on me and trying to, lie that I was their ex and stuff like that. But an ex is an ex. Like, you shouldn't, if you an ex, like, why is you saying something to, someone that, I'm with now, or trying to make a scene? So that person was trying to make a scene and make rumors and be like, that's my ex and stuff like that. And it's just like, if you're an ex, like, why is you trying to make a scene? And why is you trying to make it known? So, yeah, so my husband was like, he had that confession and stuff like that. And he was like, I thought you was pregnant. Like, I thought you was with somebody else and had somebody else baby and stuff like that. And pregnant with somebody else's baby. Like, that's why he didn't come. Like, he sat back and watching. He thought, like, basically, he confessed it. And I didn't even get mad. I was just like, huh? Like, no, like, absolutely not. And this is why, communication is so important. But at the same time, you can't force anything that God is bringing together, because you don't know what pressure the other person is on. Like, my husband probably didn't know, like, the spiritual warfare that I had going on the fourth that, I was sitting there praying like normal, but I was going through physical work. Like I couldn't move my body. Like my body was completely like I couldn't move my body, and I had to pray, and then by 3 or 4 o'clock I was kind of feeling like a little bit okay. I tied my back up and stuff like that and all of that. But yeah, like it was a spiritual attack. So things like that, when we come together, we're able to pray for each other and stuff like that. But things like that is so impartial. And I'm trying to make sure this lady is not outside. Oh, she is arriving. But this battery about to go dead. But I'm about to get off of here, y'all. But I may come back and speak on this topic and stuff like that. But yes, it's so important to know and understand that communication is important, understanding is important, and not letting other people interfere. Because when me and my husband had came together, and he was like, I thought you was pregnant, and then I was like, you see this man up here trying to say he's my ex, but we both knew like, okay, like that is, we know that's not true. We both know that's not true. Like, and he saw me and he knew that I wasn't pregnant. So it was kind of like, we're not going to let nobody stop us from coming together. We're not going to let nobody interfere with those, with us coming together and with saying this and saying that and stuff like that. But I love you guys. I may come back and talk more on this maybe tonight or something like that when I get off. But I'll see y'all later.